The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Tae-yoon stood in the command center of Earth's largest orbital station, watching the alien transmission play across the massive screen. The words were translated into every human language, broadcast to every nation, every city, every home on the planet. "You have been found," the alien voice said. "You will submit to the Galactic Council. You will surrender your weapons. You will accept protection status. You have 30 cycles to comply. Resistance is not possible." The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. Tae-yoon was 62 years old. He had served in the military for 40 years. He had fought in the colony wars on Mars. He had buried friends, led soldiers, and made impossible decisions. But nothing had prepared him for this. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and the universe wanted them to kneel. Within hours, the world changed. Some people celebrated, believing this was first contact with peaceful aliens. Others panicked, flooding stores and hiding in bunkers. Governments held emergency meetings. Religious leaders spoke of signs and prophecies. But Tae-yoon did not panic. He called Dr. Jin-woo. Jin-woo was the smartest person Tae-yoon had ever met. 7 years ago, a small alien ship had crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The governments of Earth had kept it secret, and Jin-woo had spent every day since then studying it, learning its secrets. "Tell me what you know about them," Tae-yoon said. Jin-woo looked tired. He had not slept since the message arrived. His lab was filled with screens showing alien symbols, ship designs, and biological data. "The Galactic Council has ruled for 60,000 years, Jin-woo said. They control 12 species across hundreds of star systems. No one has ever refused them. And these protection species?" Jin-woo's face grew dark. "I found records in the crashed ship's computer. Every species that accepted protection status is now extinct. Every single one. They don't protect anyone, Admiral. They slowly erase them. They take their resources, limit their population, and wait for them to die out. It takes about 3 generations." Tae-yoon felt cold. "So submission means death." "Slow death," Jin-woo said. "But death all the same." 2 days later, Tae-yoon called the Global Assembly. Every nation sent their leaders. The meeting was broadcast to 8 billion people. Captain Hannah Park stood beside Tae-yoon. She was young, only 34, but she had earned her rank through skill and courage. She commanded the flagship Defiance, the most advanced warship humanity had ever built. Jin-woo presented his findings to the assembly. He showed them the records, the death rates, the empty planets where protected species once lived. He showed them the truth. The room fell silent. "We have 2 choices," Jin-woo said. "We submit and die slowly over the next 100 years. Or we fight and probably die quickly. But at least we die on our feet." Arguments erupted. Some leaders demanded negotiation. Others wanted to surrender and hope for mercy. A few called for prayer. Then Hannah Park stepped forward. She was not a politician. She did not know how to give fancy speeches. She only knew how to speak the truth. "I have a daughter," she said. "She is 6 years old. Her name is Yuna. When I look at her, I see the future. I see every child on Earth. I see what they could become." She paused, looking at the leaders of the world. "If we submit, Yuna will grow up in chains. Her children will know nothing but service to aliens who see us as insects, and her grandchildren will never exist at all." Hannah Park straightened her back. Her voice grew stronger. "I refuse to tell my daughter that we gave up. I refuse to let her believe that humanity was too afraid to fight for its survival. I refuse to teach her that some battles are not worth fighting." She looked directly into the cameras, speaking to every human watching. "They say resistance is not possible. They are wrong. We have spent 7 years studying their technology. We know their weaknesses. We are not helpless animals waiting for slaughter. We are human beings, and we do not kneel." Her final words echoed through the chamber. "I say we choose war." The vote was not unanimous. It never could be. But when the results came in, 73% of Earth's nations agreed. Humanity would fight. Tae-yoon recorded the response himself. He stood alone in front of the camera, wearing his admiral's uniform, the flag of Earth behind him. "We have received your ultimatum," he said. "We understand your terms. We have studied your history, and we know what protection truly means." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Send your fleets. Send your armies. Send everything you have. We will be waiting. And we will not submit. Not today. Not ever." Transmission was sent. Across the galaxy, in a chamber built before humans had discovered fire, the Galactic Council watched the message. 12 species sat in their ancient seats, rulers of the known universe. "High Arbiter." Velos laughed. It was a sound like grinding stone. "They choose war," he said. How amusing. How predictable. How foolish. He had lived for 3,000 years. He had crushed rebellions on 100 worlds. He had watched species beg for mercy as their planets burned. "Send the Dominion fleet," Velos ordered. 3,000 ships. End this quickly. But in the corner of the chamber, an ancient figure sat in shadow. Elder Mivon was the oldest being in the council, 20,000 years old. He had seen empires rise and fall. He remembered things that others had forgotten. He remembered the last species that had chosen war. Mivon leaned close to Velos and spoke in a whisper. "You should send more ships." Velos laughed again. 3,000 ships against primitives. It will be over in days." Mivon did not argue. He simply watched the human admiral's face frozen on the screen. There was something in those eyes, something he had not seen in 10,000 years. It was not fear. It was not desperation. It was fire. "You have woken something terrible," Mivon whispered to himself, "and you do not even know it yet." On Earth, humanity prepared for war. Factories ran day and night. Soldiers trained without rest. Scientists worked until they collapsed, and in her small room, Captain Hannah Park held her daughter close and made a silent promise. They would fight. They would bleed. They might die, but they would never, ever kneel. The Dominion fleet arrived like a storm of metal and fire. 3,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. They were beautiful in a terrible way, each one the size of a small city. Covered in weapons that could crack mountains, Commander Thozen stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human defense line appear on his sensors. 400 ships. Small, primitive, desperate. He almost felt pity. "Standard suppression formation," he ordered. "Direct advance. This will be over before the second meal." Thozen had commanded the Dominion fleet for 600 years. He had destroyed rebellions on 30 worlds. He had never lost a battle. He had never needed to think about losing. The fleet moved forward like a wave at the Kepler line. Humanity's outer defense perimeter, Admiral Taeyun watched them come. His hands were steady. His heart was not. "All ships hold position," he said calmly. "Wait for my signal." 400 human ships against 3,000 alien warships. The numbers were insane. Every military expert in the galaxy would call this suicide, but Taeyun knew something the aliens did not. Dr. Jinwoo had cracked their shields for 7 years. Jinwoo had studied the crashed alien scout ship. He had learned how their shields worked, how they protected against weapons, and most importantly, how they could fail. He had found the frequency. The exact harmonic resonance that would let human weapons pass through like the shields were not there. It was humanity's only advantage, and they would use it. Lieutenant Nari Kong sat in the cockpit of her fighter waiting. She was 28 years old, the best pilot in the fleet. They called her Ghost because of how she flew. Appearing and disappearing like smoke, her squadron, 200 fighters, was positioned behind the main fleet. They were the first wave. The tip of the spear. "Ghost Squadron," Taeyun's voice came through her radio. "You are clear to engage. Show them what we can do." Nari smiled. "Copy that, Admiral. Let's go hunting." The fighters launched. Commander Thozen saw them coming on his sensors. 200 tiny ships flying straight toward his fleet. He almost laughed. "Activate shields. Let them waste their weapons." The shields came up, glowing barriers of energy that had stopped 1 million attacks over 60,000 years. Nothing could penetrate Dominion shields. Everyone knew this. Narration flew directly at the nearest alien warship. Her targeting computer locked on. She fired. The missiles passed through the shields like they did not exist. The warship exploded. Thosen stared at his screen. His mind could not process what he had just seen. Impossible. Their shields were perfect. Nothing could. Another explosion. Then another. Then 10 more. Narration squadron tore through the fleet like wolves among sheep. Every shot hit. Every target died. 43 capital ships were destroyed in the first hour. While ships returned fire. Thosen screamed, "Destroy those fighters!" But the human fighters were too fast, too small, too skilled. They danced between the massive warships, striking and vanishing before the aliens could aim. Then the main fleet attacked. Captain Hannah Park stood on the bridge of the Defiance. Watching the chaos ahead, this was the moment. Everything depended on the next few minutes. "All ships advance," she ordered. "Target their command vessels. Release the resonance bombs." The Defiance led the charge, flying straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Jinwoo's resonance bombs were special weapons designed to collapse the power cores of alien ships. One bomb could kill a warship from the inside. The Defiance released 50 of them. The explosions were beautiful and terrible. Alien ships died by the dozens, their power cores detonating, taking nearby vessels with them. Chain reactions spread through the Dominion formation by 0900 hours. 600 alien ships were burning wreckage. Commander Thosen watched his fleet die around him. This was not possible. This was not how war worked. Primitives did not win. They did not fight back. They submitted, or they died. They did not do this. "Commander," his officer said, voice shaking, "we have lost 20% of the fleet. Our shields are useless. Their weapons, I can see what their weapons do." Thosen roared. He looked at the battle map. His fleet was in chaos. Ships were retreating without orders. Formations had collapsed. Everywhere he looked, human ships were hunting his forces. He had two choices. He could stay and lose everything. Or he could retreat and explain this disaster to the Council. Both choices tasted like poison. "All ships," he said, the words cutting his throat like broken glass. "Fall back. Retreat to Council space." The Dominion fleet turned and ran. In the command center of the Defiance, a cheer erupted. Officers hugged each other. Some were crying. They had done it. They had actually done it. Hannah Park did not cheer. She watched the alien ships flee and felt only grim satisfaction. This was one battle. The war had just begun. "Damage report," she said quietly. 47 ships lost. "Captain?" 8,000 dead. 47 ships. 8,000 people. Sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, all gone. Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them we won. And tell them to build more ships. They'll be back. Across the galaxy." The Galactic Council watched the battle footage in absolute silence. 12 species sat frozen as they watched the impossible. They watched Dominion ships burn. They watched the mighty fleet retreat. They watched primitives celebrate victory. High Arbiter Velos could not speak. His hands trembled with rage and fear. Elder Mivon rose slowly from his ancient seat. Every eye turned to him. "I told you," he said softly. "I told you to send more ships. What are they?" Velos whispered. "How did they do this?" Mivon looked at the frozen image of a human pilot, a face visible through a cockpit glass. "Young, small, fragile, deadly." "They are what we forgot existed," Mivon said. "They are a species that refuses to die. We have not faced such a thing in 10,000 years, and the last time we did, we nearly lost everything." He walked slowly toward the door. "This is not the end, Arbiter. This is the beginning. And I fear we have just made the worst mistake in Council history." He paused at the doorway. "We did not conquer them. We made them angry." On Earth, Narration landed her damaged fighter and climbed out to cheering crowds. Her squadron had lost 30 pilots. Good people, friends, but they had proven something today. They had proven that the mighty Galactic Council could bleed, and if they could bleed, they could die. The war had just begun. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 100 worlds, species that had been conquered for thousands of years heard whispers. The humans had said no. The humans had fought back. The humans had won for the first time in 60,000 years. The Galactic Council felt something they had forgotten existed. Fear High Arbiter Velos stood before the council chamber, his ancient body trembling with rage. Commander Thosin knelt before him, head bowed in shame. You lost 600 ships, Velos said, his voice like cracking ice. 2 primitives. 2 insects. 2 creatures who discovered fire while we ruled the stars. Their weapons, Thosin began. I do not want excuses. Velos roared. I want results. I want that planet burned. I want every human dead. He turned to face the council. 12 species watched him with uncertain eyes. We will send everything, Velos declared. The full Dominion Armada. 15,000 ships, plus conscripted fleets from 6 vassal species. 20,000 warships. Enough to crack their entire world. Elder Mivon spoke from his corner. And when that is not enough, Velos spun to face him. It will be enough. Nothing survives 20,000 ships. Mivon said nothing, but his old eyes held doubt. On Earth, Admiral Taeyun studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. The Council was gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Every shipyard in their empire was working day and night. We cannot win a defensive war, he said to his commanders. We surprised them once. We will not surprise them again. General Daesung stepped forward. He was 60 years old, a veteran of every war humanity had fought since the Mars Rebellion. His face was scarred. His eyes were hard. And we do not defend, he said. We attack. The room fell silent. Attack. Captain Hannah Park asked. Attack where? We have 400 ships. They have 20,000. We do not attack their fleet, Daesung said. We attack their empire, their supply lines, their shipyards, their command centers. He pointed at the star map. The Council has ruled so long that they have forgotten how to be afraid. They leave their important places undefended because no one has ever dared to strike them. He smiled grimly. Until now. Dr. Jin Woo pulled up data on his screen. We captured several alien ships in the last battle. Their jump gate technology is surprisingly simple. I can modify our ships to use their faster-than-light network. We could strike anywhere in Council space.
ODS, Taeyun
nodded slowly. The plan was insane. It was also their only chance. Operation Falling Star, he said. Captain Park, you will lead the main strike force. Hit their shipyards, their fuel stations, their communications. Make them bleed. He turned to Jin Woo. There is one more target. The Council's central communications array. If we destroy it, their entire fleet loses coordination. They become 20,000 ships that cannot talk to each other. That array is in the heart of Council space, Jin Woo said. Heavily defended, a full assault would need half our fleet. It's not an assault, Taeyun said. An infiltration. 1 ship. 1 pilot. Everyone knew who he meant. Lieutenant Narakong stood before the Admiral 2 hours later. She had not slept since the last battle. She did not need to. The mission is simple, Taeyun said. Fly to the Council homeworld. Destroy their communications array. Get out if you can. And if I cannot get out. Taeyun met her eyes. Then you will have given humanity a chance. Nari thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother who still did not understand why her daughter had to fight. Her younger brother who wanted to be a pilot just like her. When do I leave? Tonight. Nari nodded. I will see it done. She walked out to prepare. Behind her, Taeyun felt the weight of sending young people to die. It never got easier. It never should. The next weeks were chaos. Hannah Park led her strike force into Council space, hitting targets the aliens had never thought to protect. Shipyards burned, Fuel depots exploded. Supply convoys disappeared. The Council had not faced guerrilla warfare in 10,000 years. They did not know how to respond to an enemy that attacked everywhere and nowhere. General Daesung landed ground forces on 3 vassal worlds. But he did not come as a conqueror. He came as a liberator. "We are not here to rule you," he told the alien populations. "We are here to free you. Fight beside us, or simply stay out of our way. Either way, the Council's grip on your world ends today." On the planet called Veth Prime, the native species had been protected for 8,000 years. Their population had fallen by 90%. Their culture was nearly dead. Their spirits were broken. But when they saw human soldiers fighting and dying against Council forces, something stirred in them. Something old. Something angry. They picked up weapons. Then another vassal species joined. Then another. The cracks in the Council's empire became fractures. The fractures became sears. Some, meanwhile, Narration flew alone through enemy space. Her small ship was designed for stealth, painted black, running silent. She jumped from system to system, avoiding patrols, hiding in asteroid fields. Moving ever closer to the Council homeworld, Jinwoo had found something else in the alien archives. Something that changed everything. The Council did not rise through diplomacy, he told Tae-yoon in a private message. They rose through genocide. Every species that could have challenged them, they destroyed, completely. Every world burned. Every individual killed. 60,000 years of murder disguised as peace. Tae-yoon stared at the data. Thousands of species erased from existence. "We are not fighting an empire," Jinwoo continued. "We are fighting a machine designed to eliminate threats. And right now, we are the biggest threat they have ever seen." In the Council chamber, High Arbiter Velos received reports of rebellion spreading across his empire. Vassal species were rising up. Supply lines were broken. His grand fleet was delayed again and again. And somewhere out there, a single human pilot was coming for his homeworld. He did not know about Narration yet, but he would soon. Elder Mivon watched the chaos with quiet acceptance. He had seen this before, long ago. He had warned them. "You cannot kill an idea," he whispered to the empty chamber. "And these humans, they are more than soldiers. They carry an idea that we spent 60,000 years trying to destroy." He looked at the stars beyond the window, Hope on her small ship. Flying through enemy territory, Narration checked her weapons one more time. The Council homeworld was close now, hours away. Her target waited. She thought about Earth, about her family, about all the people counting on her. "Ghost to command," she whispered into her radio, knowing no one could hear. "I am almost there. Whatever happens, tell them I did not hesitate." She flew on, alone, into the heart of darkness. The Council homeworld was beautiful. Kong saw it through her cockpit glass as she dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked almost like Earth. The communications array floated in high orbit, a massive structure of metal and crystal that connected every ship in the Council's fleet. Without it, 20,000 warships would become deaf and blind. Destroying it would change everything. Nari checked her weapons. She had 12 missiles. She needed 6 to destroy the array. She would use the other 6 to fight. Her way out. If she could fight her way out, she pushed the thought away and flew toward her target. The Council defenses detected her 3 minutes from the array. Alarm signals flashed across the system. Defense ships scrambled from orbital stations. Weapons platforms turned their guns toward the tiny human craft. "One ship," the defense commander said in confusion. "They send one ship against us." He did not understand. He could not understand. No species in 60,000 years had been crazy enough to attack the Council homeworld with a single fighter, but then again, no species had been human. Nar flew like she had never flown before. Her ship twisted and rolled through a storm of weapons fire. Missiles exploded around her. Energy beams missed her by meters. She was the ghost, and she danced with death. The array grew larger in her view. Almost there. Almost. A defense ship appeared directly in front of her, Too close to dodge? Too fast to avoid, she fired her missiles. 6 struck the array. 6 struck the defense ship. Both targets exploded at the same moment. The shockwave hit Nari's ship like a giant's fist. Alarms screamed. Systems failed. Her engines died. She was falling toward the planet below. Mission complete, she said into her radio, not knowing if anyone could hear. Communications array destroyed. I am going down. She ejected from her dying ship and fell through the alien sky, across the galaxy. Chaos erupted. Commander Thosin was leading the Dominion Armada toward Earth when his communications suddenly went silent. One moment he was receiving reports from 1,000 ships. The next moment, nothing. What happened? He demanded. Unknown, Commander. All fleet-wide communications are down. We cannot reach the Council. We cannot coordinate with other squadrons. Thosin felt ice in his stomach. 20,000 ships, now operating blind. Admiral Tae-Yoon received the news on his command ship. Jin Woo's instruments had detected the array's destruction from across the galaxy. She did it, Hannah Park whispered. That crazy woman actually did it. The enemy fleet is blind, Tae-Yoon said. This is our moment. All forces execute Plan Thunder. Hit them now, while they cannot coordinate. Humanity's forces attacked from every direction. Hannah, Park led her strike force against the Dominion fleet supply ships. Without communications, the warships could not call for help. Without fuel, they could not fight. General Dae-Sung landed troops on the flagship of a vassal species fleet. The aliens there had been forced to fight for the Council. When Dae-Sung offered them freedom instead of death, they surrendered within hours. 2 more vassal species defected. Their ships turned their guns on their former masters. The war was no longer humanity against the galaxy. It was becoming something else entirely. On the Council homeworld, Nari Kong survived the fall. Her escape pod crashed in a forest far from any city. She crawled out injured but alive and looked up at the alien sky. She was the first human to stand on an enemy world. The first invader the Council homeworld had seen in 20,000 years. She checked her supplies. 1 pistol. 2 days of food and water. A small radio that probably could not reach anyone, she said to herself. Time to become a problem. For the next 2 weeks, Nari waged a one-woman war. She attacked supply convoys. She sabotaged power stations. She left messages in places where aliens would find them, written in the Council's own language. The messages said, "We do not kneel." The Council sent soldiers to find her. She killed them and disappeared. They sent hunters with technology that could track body heat. She led them into traps and vanished again. They called her Ghost. They said she was a demon. They said she was impossible. But the strangest thing happened next. Ordinary aliens began to help her. At first it was small things. A farmer who looked the other way when she stole food. A worker who accidentally left a door unlocked. A child who pointed her away from a patrol. Then it became more. An old alien man gave her a place to hide. A young alien woman brought her medical supplies. A group of laborers helped her destroy a weapons factory. Why? Nari asked the old man. Why help me? I am your enemy. The old man looked at her with ancient, tired eyes. The Council has ruled us for 60,000 years. They call us protected. But we are slaves. We have always been slaves. He touched her hand gently. You are the first person in my entire life who has ever fought back. If that makes you my enemy, then I choose my enemy over my masters. News of the ghost spread across the planet, and then across the Empire. In the Council chamber, High Arbiter Velos received reports of spreading chaos. His fleet was scattered and confused. His vassal species were rebelling. And somewhere on his own homeworld, a single human woman was making fools of his soldiers. Nuff, he said, his voice cold and terrible. Activate the extinction protocol. Council members went still. Arbiter, one of them, said carefully, the extinction protocol is meant for total planetary destruction. We have not used it in 10,000 years. I am aware of what it is, Velos said. The humans have left us no choice. We will destroy their world. Every human will die. And every species that helped them will watch and remember what happens to those who resist. Elder Mivon rose from his seat. I will not approve this. Every eye turned to him. The protocol requires unanimous council approval, Velo said. You would deny it? I would, Mivon said. What you propose is not war. It is murder. Genocide. The very thing that made us monsters in the first place. He looked around the chamber. How many species have we erased? How many worlds have we silenced? When does it end? Velo stepped toward him. It ends when we win. No, Mivon said quietly. It ends when there is no one left, including us. The council was divided. For the first time in 10,000 years, they could not agree. On Earth, Admiral Tae-yoon received word of the extinction protocol threat. He gathered his commanders. They mean to destroy our world, he said. Our families, our children, everything we love. Hannah Park stood tall. Then we end this. We take the fight to them, to their homeworld. We finish this before they can fire. Tae-yoon looked at his officers. They were tired. They were battered. They had lost friends and family, but their eyes still held fire. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We are going to war one last time. And this time we do not stop until it is over. Somewhere on the council homeworld, Nari Kong looked up at the stars. Help was coming. She could feel it. She just had to stay alive a little longer. The final battle began at dawn. 8,000 Dominion warships waited at the edge of Earth's solar system. The last great force of the Galactic Council. Behind them, the extinction protocol weapon charged slowly. Preparing to fire on humanity's homeworld, Admiral Tae-yoon stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the enemy fleet on his screens. Humanity had 900 ships left, battered, damaged, exhausted. But they were not alone, Admiral, his communications officer said, voice shaking. We are receiving signals. From behind us, new contacts appeared on the sensors. Ships. Hundreds of them. Ships from the vassal species that had broken free from the Council. Ships crewed by aliens who had chosen to fight beside humanity. Captain Hannah Park's voice came through the radio from the Defiance. They came. They actually came. Tae-yoon felt something warm in his chest. Pride, gratitude, hope. All ships, he said, his voice steady. Human and allied forces. Today we fight together. Today we end this war. Today we decide what kind of galaxy our children will live in. He paused, looking at the massive enemy fleet. They called us primitives. They called us insects. They said we would submit or die. His voice grew harder. We chose a third option. We chose to fight. And now we stand here, at the edge of everything. And we will not back down. He raised his hand. All ships, attack. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, fighting as one. Barriers of species and history fell away in the fire of combat. What mattered was not what you looked like or where you came from. What mattered was that you were fighting for freedom. The Defiance led the charge, Captain Hannah Park commanding from its bridge. The ship had fought in every major battle of the war. Its hull was scarred and patched, but it still flew. It still fought. Let's target their command ships, Hannah ordered. Cut off the heads and the body will die. Dr. Jinwoo's final weapon was deployed from 100 human ships, a virus designed to infect Council navigation systems. Spreading from ship to ship, turning their own technology against them, enemy vessels began to drift. Their engines failed. Their weapons went silent. Crews panicked as their ships became floating coffins. The battle lasted 18 hours. Ships burned on both sides. Thousands died. The darkness of space was lit by endless explosions, each one representing lives ended, futures destroyed. But slowly, impossibly, the tide turned. Commander Thosin watched his fleet crumble around him. He had never lost. In 600 years of command, he had never known defeat. Now he knew it. General Daesung led a boarding party onto Thosin's flagship. Human soldiers fought through corridors designed for aliens. Pushing forward with desperate courage, they found Thassan on his bridge, alone. His crew dead or fled. The alien commander looked at the human general with something like respect. "You were never supposed to win," Thassan said. Daesung raised his weapon. "We know then how." "How did you do this?" Daesung thought about the question. He thought about all the soldiers who had died. All the sacrifices. All the impossible moments that had somehow worked out. "Because we had no choice," he said finally. "Because giving up was not an option. Because every human who fell was replaced by another who refused to stop fighting." He lowered his weapon. "Surrender. It is over." Thassan bowed his head. "It is over." On the council homeworld, Nari Kong heard the news through her stolen radio. The fleet had won. The war was ending, but she had one more mission. For weeks she had gathered allies. Ordinary aliens who had chosen freedom over fear. Workers, farmers, shopkeepers, people who had never held weapons before, but had finally found something worth fighting for. The council chamber. Nari told them, "That is where we go. That is where we end this." They marched through the streets of the alien capital, growing in number with every block. Guards who tried to stop them were overwhelmed. Gates that blocked their path were torn down by the time they reached the council chamber. Thousands were following her. Humans, aliens, former enemies now united. The doors to the chamber were ancient, built when humanity was still living in caves. They had never been breached. Nari Kong pushed them open and walked. Inside, the council members sat frozen in their ancient seats. High Arbiter Velos rose, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "You cannot be here," he said. "This is impossible." Nari walked toward him. She was limping. Her uniform was torn and dirty. Her face was scarred from weeks of fighting and surviving, but her eyes burned with unbroken fire. "You gave us a choice," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Submit or die. We chose a third option. We chose to fight. We chose to win." She stopped in front of him, this tiny human woman facing the ruler of a galaxy. "Now, you face the same choice." For a long moment, Velos stared at her. Then slowly, painfully, his ancient body bent. He knelt. The Galactic Council. 60,000 years of absolute power ended with a single human woman standing in their sacred hall. Elder Mivon watched from his seat, a small smile on his ancient face. He alone did not seem surprised. "What happens now?" he asked Nari. She looked at him, then at the crowd behind her, humans and aliens together. "Now we build something better," she said. "Together?" 1 year later, Admiral Tae-yoon addressed the first Galactic Assembly of Free Species. 12 races sat together as equals, not rulers and subjects, but partners. "We did not fight to become the new masters of the galaxy," he said. "We fought so that there would be no masters, no slaves. Only free people, choosing their own paths." Captain Hannah Park commanded the Defiance on a new mission. Exploring unknown space, searching for worlds and species that the Council had hidden or forgotten, her daughter Yuna, now 7 years old, sometimes visited the ship. She would sit in the captain's chair and dream of the stars. Dr. Jin Woo shared human technology freely. Beginning an age of scientific progress that benefited every species, General Daesung retired to a small house by the sea. He planted a garden and learned to cook. Sometimes old soldiers would visit, and they would sit together in comfortable silence, remembering those who had not made it home. Lieutenant Nari Kong was offered every honor humanity could give. She refused them all. Instead, she became a teacher. She trained young pilots from a dozen species, passing on everything she knew. Her lessons always ended the same way. "They will tell you it is impossible," she would say. "They will tell you that you are too small, too weak, too few. They will tell you to give up," she would smile then. The same fierce smile that had terrified the Council. When they tell you that, you know you are doing something that matters. Elder Mivon lived another 1,000 years, watching the new galaxy grow. On his final day, A young human journalist asked him what he had learned from humanity's war. The ancient alien thought for a long time. I learned, he said finally, that empires are not destroyed by weapons or armies. They are destroyed by hope. By the simple belief that tomorrow can be better than today. He closed his eyes. Humanity did not just defeat the council. They reminded the galaxy how to dream. And across 100 worlds. Species that had been silent for 60,000 years finally remembered how to hope. The war was over. The future had begun.